There are many verses of the Gita which are each a capsule into truth, and each of them is so powerful because each verse of Gita, many of the verses give the entire essence. This particular verse is not about the nature of truth, but about how truth manifests itself in the real practical way. And therefore it's a very, there are verses like that too. This one is very special verse. There is this chapter called Devotion, 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and there Krishna describes who is a true devotee or a true realized being. Both are the same thing. One who is true devotee sees no division. He is devoted to truth, which is the essence of all there is, and therefore he is also a jnani or a enlightened being. In fact, Krishna makes it explicit in a different verse where he says the devotee who is dearest to him is a jnani. So there is no division between true wisdom and true devotion. Love is intelligence, true intelligence, not the intelligence of the intellect, which is necessary for transactional purposes, dealing with work and other aspects. But the true intelligence or true wisdom is not the use of intellect, but it is simply love, because love brings forth the right response to any situation, not intellectual machinations. So that has to be clear, that devotion and wisdom are non-different. They are two sides of the same coin. In fact, in the Gita, Krishna says there is only two ways. He doesn't differentiate between bhakti and jnana. He does differentiate between karma yoga and jnana yoga, because karma yoga is the way of acting without being attached to the results, by offering the results to the divine, because there is still a sense of doership, but at least all the results are offered back without any expectation of results. Or rather, even if there are expectations, to offer the results back, accepting whatever comes forth without any complaint. But one step beyond that is the complete lack of doership, which is jnana and bhakti. Both are the same. So that is the essence of the two ways Krishna outlines to Arjuna or to anyone. First, start off by acting while accepting whatever results comes with equanimity. So you may still be acting like you are the doer, but whatever results come, accept it as a prasad, accept it as a divine offering, as what is exactly meant to come, no matter what. And that purifies the ground, clears the mind. Being equanimous removes all the roots of suffering, and then by and by it becomes clear that even the doer is him, not just the results are ordained by him, by this divine intelligence, but even the very doer is the same divine intelligence. And when the doership goes, then that is jnana, and that is surrender. Now, this particular verse, it's a very simple verse. It's so simple that it can be easily missed for its profundity. What Krishna says is, what is the mark of a true enlightened being or a true devotee who is truly dear to me? He says, one who, by whom nobody is disturbed and who is disturbed by nobody. That's all he says. So So the verse in this is 12th chapter, 16th verse, I think. He says, yasmān nodvijate loko, lokān nodvijate chayaha. Yasmān nodvijate loko means by whom this world is never disturbed, and lokān nodvijate chayaha, and by this world he is never disturbed. It's just a simple but very practical definition of an enlightened being, of a devotee, of a true awakened being. That is, so by him there is no disturbance to anyone, anything in this world. And anyone, anything in this world cannot cause disturbance in him either. And if we really go into it, of course, this state can be actualized only by the recognition that all duality is rooted in ignorance. Because as long as we are rooted as a separate individual, then there is every possibility to get disturbed or to disturb others. So the first half of it, where he says, by whom nothing in this world, nobody in this world is disturbed. So when we act, when we are seeing that everything is a manifestation of the same divine being, whether it's our close ones, whether it's people we don't know, whether it's various aspects of nature, whether it's anything in this world, when we recognize that everything is an aspect of the same divine intelligence that is also the spark that is animating our own body and mind, then just as we will not hurt our own thumb or our own leg, we will not cause any disturbance to anyone else. The moment we cause any disturbance to anyone or anything, that is because there is separation. When there is no separation, disturbance is not possible. We cannot agitate someone else or something else, as long as, or to put it differently, we can only cause agitation as long as there is separation. When the separation is not there, when we see that everything is the same divine being expressing as all these manifold forms, everyone is animated from within by the same divine being, and everyone is every cell of every being is an expression of the same divine being, and everything and everyone is happening in the awareness which is the same divine being. So within, without, and as the body and mind, every aspect is the same expression of the divine being. When we see this, we can not cause any disturbance to anyone else, because there is no reason, or there is any cause or any motivation for causing disturbance is if we project any kind of desire or outcome and we want to get it out of someone else and causing them anxiety or causing them disturbance. But when we recognize that everything and everyone is an expression of the same divine intelligence, then the very root which causes disturbance goes away, and therefore we do not cause disturbance to others. So this is the first half of it, which is very important. But the second half is even more important, or some might say even more challenging, which is never be disturbed by anyone else. So not everyone in this world, in fact a vast majority, are functioning in this consciousness. So we are surrounded by people, including our own family, our friends, our work colleagues, who are all rooted in separation, who are not recognizing their true nature as the expression of the divine, and so they are rooted in the ego, and so they are always projecting their desires and their fears on us. So that's where it gets really challenging, and that's where the second part of it is so important, because Krishna says one who is never disturbed by anyone either. So one who doesn't cause disturbance to anyone and who is never disturbed by anyone. And the second part is possible only with an attitude of complete surrender. When we see that everyone, as we already explored, is an expression of the same divine intelligence, then we have to also see that this divine intelligence is taking on the role of ego, is taking on the role of all these players around us who are destined to be in doing whatever they are doing. So, as long as we ascribe agency to them, we will question if they, let's say, someone behaves most unfairly, we haven't done anything wrong, and they come to us and say something mean, or they act in a mean way, or they want to cause disturbance. What is the attitude in which to face that? If there is any seed of individuality left in us, and therefore we project individuality in them, then the natural question is, would be, our natural response would be, how dare they say it? Or why are they, even if some random event happens, why is it happening to me? It may not even be people, it may be an event, it may be a contracting a disease or a sickness or an accident. Anything can happen, and immediately the question may be, why is it happening to me? It's not fair, all the rest. But if we recognize truly that everything and everyone is an expression of the same divine intelligence, then, and this intelligence is infinite, what we can understand is very finite, then we can truly be in the state of surrender where we can say that it is He who is playing this game. It's He who is playing the role of this character that is causing disturbance. So, whether a person is acting violently or unfairly or anything of that nature, or whether an event happens which seems to be very bad, whatever it might be, if we can see in that moment that it is the divine being who is acting through them, it's like if we can see that he is taking on this role, and just as in a movie, there can be a really evil character, and yet the character is doing exactly what is meant to be done for that movie to go to the next phase. And the characters in the movie do not know, but the director of the movie knows, and therefore there is no question of blaming the actor in a movie, no matter what the character is doing. So, if we similarly recognize that it is the cosmic director who is directing the events every moment, and not only is he directing, he is the actor too, he is all there is. So, he scripts it, directs it, acts it, it's all a one man show or a one being show. So, that being the case, if we recognize that it is he who is acting in this way, then we can bring a sense of presence, because the natural response is to get agitated, is to, people can easily push us into our ego. And this is where the rubber meets the road, as we would say, because it's very easy to sit in silent meditation. It's not so easy, maybe, but it's relatively easier to sit in silent meditation or to read any text or things like that. But when the situation is challenging, that's when the real test of our inner being comes forth. And if we are able to live in this way, if this becomes our guiding light, and of course, this cannot be simply an imposed um, behavior pattern, right? We cannot tell ourselves that I will not be disturbed by anyone else, or I will not disturb anyone else, because that will be an artificial imposition which cannot sustain itself. But if we go to the root of it, and as we inquired into it, recognize that everyone and everything is acting exactly the way they are meant to act, and it is He who is acting, it is He who is directing, and it is all happening exactly as ordained. And therefore, everything that's coming to this character here, which is also an expression of His intelligence, His being, there is no separate self either here or there. So this character is going through exactly what it's going through, and every character is going through exactly what they are going through as meant to. And when we have this true wisdom of surrender, then this verse becomes real to us. Krishna says, He is dear to me. And this is the essence of, because this is the essence of the lived wisdom of truth. Again, the verse is very simple. Yasmān nodvijate loko, lokān nodvijate chayah. By whom nobody in this world is disturbed, and who is not disturbed by anybody in this world. So that is the real crux where all of this meets us in the moment to moment. So when we go through life, this verse, for example, is a beautiful verse to simply keep in the background and see, are we living according to this standard, or this, by this yardstick? Are we causing any disturbance to anyone, or are we disturbed by anyone? It's a very simple and a beautiful way to be alert each moment when we are going about life, when we are dealing with people, work, family, or when events happen, when we watch even political news. Are we getting disturbed by anything? Or when you are watching any other, it can be any aspect of this world, or we go and we are late to a meeting, or even small things, anything can happen. Are we disturbed by it, or are we equanimous in that moment, recognizing that it is what it is? If traffic is bad, it is what it is. It's exactly as it's meant to be. There is no resistance. So from small things to big things, are we living? This is a yardstick for us to carry, that Krishna gives us so beautifully. By whom nobody is disturbed, and who is disturbed by nobody.